This property, including the very room that you're sitting in here today. This house bore silent witness to the darkest times for the struggle for our country's freedom and would serve as Washington's headquarters during the steam raft encampment of 1780. We have made great progress in overcoming the silence of textbooks and the indifference of the uninformed, but we face no greater challenge than the array of powers of nature, especially given the low elevation of this ground on the banks of the Hackensack River, a tidal river. Experience dictates the impossibility of arguing with the Atlantic Ocean during its occasional hostile mood swings. Nevertheless, we have an excellent record of vigilance and preparedness indeed for 68 years, between 1939, when we opened our museum headquarters here at the Steuben House, at the state's invitation, and the nor'easter of April 2007, we know of no artifact in our collection lost to floodwaters. On the latter occasion, our offer of volunteer assistance to again raise the museum collection out of harm's way was declined and artifacts were consequently damaged. Through bipartisan support and the unanimous consent of the governor and legislature, for which we remain grateful, administration of the State Historic Site and Parkland was transferred to the Historic Newbridge Landing State Park Commission in 2009, but without funding under the law. I encourage everyone here today to review this bipartisan law and advocate for Bergen County to once again receive the recognition and finances to run Historic Newbridge Landing as the 2000 bipartisan law intended. We proudly attest that no artifacts were damaged during Hurricane Irene in August 2011 due to our preparedness. Indeed, no artifact was harmed at Historic Newbridge Landing during Superstorm Sandy in October 2012, everything having been moved above the expected surge. However, artifacts displaced from the garrets of the Campbell Christie House and Steuben House, where they had been safely kept for decades, were stored at the time in a warehouse space generously donated to the Society. In preparation for Hurricane Irene in 2011, the collections and records in storage were elevated on pallets, but the warehouse did not take a single drop of water. Further, in anticipation of Superstorm Sandy, we further elevated as many items as possible on folding tables. But in the end, this proved insufficient given the unprecedented storm surge that wreaked havoc on so much of New Jersey and elsewhere along the eastern seaboard. At this point, I will turn our narrative over to past President Deborah Powell, who is also our museum chairwoman. She has undertaken the complex task of processing our FEMA claim for assistance and has worked literally night and day on the enormous challenge of recovering many important artifacts that might otherwise have been lost to the ravages of this calamity. She, like most volunteers at the Bergen County Historical Society, work a full-time job, but who has nevertheless donated her considerable talents and leadership capabilities to this ongoing effort. And now I'd like to turn the floor over to Deborah Powell.
Thank you, Jim. Let me first say, we know too well the heartache and despair experienced by others who lost irreplaceable personal possessions and the mementos of a lifetime to this terrible storm. About a dozen volunteers responded October 2012 to our call for assistance, and we moved everything out of harm's way in the Steuben House, Demarest House, the barn, and the out kitchen. We also made our best effort in the warehouse storage location to prepare for the worst. However, 4 feet of dirty water swept through the warehouse and tumbled everything in its path. To make matters worse, even worse, the turnpike was closed, and we were unable to immediately access the site and assess the situation. We were able, with advice, to engage professional conservation and recovery firm, but as we were descending the highway ramp several blocks from the warehouse, we learned through a phone call that they were diverted to another destination when we would be unable to assist us. As you can imagine, such professional recovery firms were in high demand subsequent to the storm, and there was great competition for their emergency services. Through a contact trustee Peggy Norris had, we were able to secure a company who brought a refrigerated truck to the site to freeze dry, water soaked paper items and perform cleanup. Four of us, namely Kevin Wright, Peggy Norris, Joseph Plicky, and myself, worked on processing artifacts recovered from the warehouse and transporting them to the barn here at Newbridge, including the statue of Steuben. The photo is of him on the barn floor right after he came back. We literally crawled on our hands and knees, wearing only protective masks and gloves through the toxic slime of Newark Bay. Mud deposited on everything in an unheated and unventilated room. There was no electricity. That were rapidly filling with mold and mildew. We rescued everything we could painstakingly, recovering from the bewildering mess until on the third day of our recovery effort, we were told we could not re-enter the warehouse due to the growing health hazard. At this time, we must recognize the timely assistance of conservator Gary McGowan, who not only appeared when all other hope was vanishing to transport flood-damaged artifacts to the workshop, but also provided us with the professional advice for properly cleaning some items ourselves and for best protecting our health while working in such a hostile environment. We will be forever grateful. As bad as it was, things could have been much worse. We had previously moved all our most important historic furnishings, paintings, and other framed works of art, our collections of quilts and coverlets, our collection of pottery, iron, and treenware, as well as other significant artifacts to the Steuben House, where they were either stored in the garret, displayed in the upper back rooms, or in enclosed cases elevated well above the reach of storm surges and supernormal tides. Our extensive library collections, including many rare, unique documents, were fortunately in safe storage during Hurricane Sandy. They are now available to the public in library space generously provided to us by Bergen Community College at the Chiarco Learning Center of Hackensack. And our library chairperson is here. Lucille, if you want to say, wave your hand. Picking artifacts out of waterlogged cardboard boxes and transporting them for eventual repair was not only the first stage of this nightmare journey. We contacted Congressman Scott Garrett, whose office kindly assisted us in opening a channel of communication with FEMA to obtain funds to pick up where our insurance claim left off. Congressman Garrett was supposed to be here, but he is not. So at this point, I'd like to thank Jim Smith, the Bergen County Historical Society officers, trustees for their continuing support, the museum committee, many who are here, I don't know if you want to wave your hand, Manfred Wegner, Cindy Piano, Anthony Parisi, Heather Miller, and Tracy Horan, who meet weekly to inventory and pack artifacts, and especially my husband, Kevin Wright, for his knowledge and conference. Since we first met with a team from the Office of Emergency Management at the Campbell Christie House, they not only listened to our story, but they carefully explained FEMA guidelines and helpfully guided us through. Our liaison has been Keith Cherney of Office of Emergency Management, who continues to work with us in an accessible and professional manner. I would like to acknowledge his patience and invaluable assistance through this very difficult process. For me, the repair of the Steuben statue is symbolic of overcoming the chaos of this disaster. Conservator Gary McGowan has literally been with us since day one, and we marvel at the skill he consistently shows us in repairing artifacts, many of which we had despaired of ever reclaiming. And I'd like Gary to say a few words.
Thank you very much for this. It's been a pleasure, it's been an honor to work with this society, with their materials. It's hasn't been an easy recovery. As Deborah had just mentioned, many of the pieces were exposed to all types of contaminants, pollutants from floodwaters. So it's baby steps back from the disaster, but we are moving ahead, and I've been thrilled to work with everyone here, and I thank you very much for asking me to even speak. And so thank you very much. I hope you enjoy what we did with the Steuben sculpture. Thank you.
I would now like to ask Jim, Gary, and Keith to help me unveil this remarkable artifact. Albert Yeager's 107-year-old plaster model for the bronze statue of Baron von Steuben that stands in Lafayette Park opposite the White House, which, along with other important artifacts that tell our story, have been rescued from the storm's fury and now repaired for the enjoyment and education of present and future generations. I could cry. With our story told and acknowledgments made, I would like to turn the program back to President James Smith.
Thank you very much, Deborah, and again, thank you very much for everybody that's been involved. It's been a few years since this beautiful piece has been on display, and it looks like the Baron is finally home again. So great job, all that are involved. Again, we are gratified for the bipartisan support of our cause has received over the years, as befits what we consider a legacy project aimed at the public good. We now wish to recognize Assemblyman Gordon Johnson, who has supported the preservation of this hallowed spot in American history and the public programming that brings it to life for people of all ages.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and I'll start my remarks by saying we are a county of about 1 million people, and we have all different cultures and customs and religious faith in this county, but we are nowhere if we do not know our history. The history of Bergen County, the history of New Jersey, the history of the United States of America. And as we here recognize this great military man, Wilhelm, as we call him at home, Wilhelm, from actually from an area of Germany, I believe in the southwest part of Germany, Baden-Württemberg. Major city there, of course, is Stuttgart. But he came, he was I guess came as a mercenary, went to Valley Forge, helped train the troops, which helped us win the revolution, and became a great part of American history and history in the state of New Jersey. So thank you for your efforts. The Bergen County Historical Society, which Loretta Weinberg and Valerie and I are fully supportive of, trying to dig out those funds and dig for funds to assure that you have the money you need, the resources you need to keep going, because our history, the history of Bergen County, is so important to the rest of New Jersey. In recognition of your efforts, we have one of these things called a resolution. framed. This is for the tenacity and the dedication of the Historical Society. This, I hope, serves as inspiration to you to continue fighting and continue being that source of education for the young people of this county and surrounding counties as to what actually occurred here back during the revolutionary days of this country. So on behalf of Senator Loretta Weinberg and Valerie Benary Huddle, and me, I have this resolution. So thank you for your efforts, and we'll continue to work together. Politicians love photo ops, so this is good. One more. Thank you, everyone.
Again, thank you very much. And when we look at this house, because of Baron von Steuben's efforts, it was confiscated from the Zabriskie family by the state of New Jersey and given to Baron von Steuben, again, for his service during the war. Obviously, we know the story at Valley Forge and the results at Monmouth as well. So Steuben very much walked on the same floor and occupied the same space that we're in here today. At this time, I would like to recognize and call up the Honorable John Hogan, County Clerk.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here today for this very, very important and significant historical event. Now, my office, the sheriff and I, we're two constitutional officers, and we have this ongoing debate as to which office is the oldest office. Was the sheriff here first, or was it the county clerk? And I've been going around the county for 4 years now, and about 3 years ago, I said to the historian and to Cynthia, I said that, my office, I'm the 21st Bergen County clerk. So I was told, no, you're not. It's more like the 36th and counting. And the reason being is that the county clerk's position existed prior to the time of George Washington, when we were all still colonies. Someone had to maintain the land records. You didn't need the guy with the gun, you needed the guy with the pen to maintain the land records. And then there was another surprise. If you look back at those historical names way back when, you'll see there's a lot of German names that were county clerk. There were a lot of Dutch names. And then, right during George Washington's time, I believe it was, for about 8 months, there's a guy who's the Bergen County clerk whose name's John Hogan. Now, how weird is that? This is deja vu. I don't know if I believe in that. But I just want to share with you, just for one moment, some of the historical efforts that my office is making and how significant this day is for me. Way back when all the 70 towns came to be in Bergen County, they had incorporation papers. They had to actually sign a petition to break away from larger areas. There was an election that was held, and there were posters that were made that were hammered on the trees way back when. All that stuff came into the county clerk's office, and the county clerk had to preserve those documents. So after I was there a couple of years, I was reading about how other counties were doing things. We pulled out all those records, and they were stored real well for the last century, not for the present century. We have so much better technology. We took all those records, we handled them properly, we scanned them so they're preserved hopefully forever. We put them in acid-free containers. Containers, is that right? Sleeves, I always get it wrong. And they're stored real well now. So part of my job is to store that information. I think the other part of the job is to share that information. Each town, if you travel through and we're all from different towns, Each town has its own special historical significance, its own character. If you go from my town to Norwood, there's a difference. You go to Harrington Park, there's another difference. Come down here, there's another difference. And what we've done is we've taken those significant historical documents. I'm not an historian, I'm not gonna interpret the documents, but we put them in a collage that we present to each town. It has the first exempt firefighter, it has the first map. Some of these maps haven't been seen since over 100 years or more. Some of them date back to the Civil War, some of the stuff we found. And we're presenting these to each of the towns. They're putting them on display. It's adding to the history, the historical character of each community in Bergen County. And we're proud of the efforts that we're making. We'll be out to some of your towns if we haven't been already. And once again, one other comment I'd like to make. He looks like one tough guy, doesn't he, when you look at his face? I was looking at his face and go, I wouldn't want to mess with that guy. So thank you all for having me here today. I also have some presentations, but you know, I'm the county clerk. I'm not from the state of New Jersey that has a significant budget to be able to actually frame things. So I'll leave my presentations here also.
I think when I wasn't sure if the Honorable County Clerk was pointing for a tough guy, this statue of Steuben or myself. So, I'll take it as a compliment however I can get it. But I will just share a quick story that maybe it was a good thing that we look at the sheriff in Bergen County in 1780, an event that ties in both Hackensack and this very spot. A gentleman by the name of Adam Boyd, who was sheriff, was almost captured by British forces as they raided Hackensack. And he's actually able to slip away and run up to and warn the Continental troops that were stationed at Paramus Church and that outpost, right down Paramus Road. So next time you're driving around the county of Bergen, average everyday citizens help to forge this great county. And just real quick, when we look at that raid, that March 23rd raid, it ends right here at Newbridge. At this time, I would like to recognize and bring up Cynthia Forster from the Division of Cultural and Historic Affairs for a presentation of citations.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess I'm the end of this triumvirate, but I'm not a politician, let's put it that way, right? But I do have, I'm here and I'm actually very honored to be here. I'm the director of the Division of Cultural and Historic Affairs for Bergen County, and I'm here to thank the Bergen County Historical Society for everything that it's doing to not only restore the materials we have, but to make sure that it's out there for the public. And that's something that definitely needs to be done. I'm here actually representing the Bergen County Executive, James Tedesco III, as well as the Board of Chosen Freeholders. And I have commendations for the Society, also for the Conservator, all right, for Gary McGowan, and also for Keith, for the work that they've done, not only on this statue, but I'm sure there's going to be more work for them as they move forward. And again, a major thank you from the division's perspective. We're just extremely happy to be able to work with the Society moving forward. We, as you know, Bergen County owns the Campbell Christie House. It is put to good use here. Otherwise, it would be an empty house sitting somewhere. So we're very happy for the programming and for everything that it does there. And let us know how we can help you in the future. And as you can see, once again, I have these commendations as well from both the Bergen County Executive and from the freeholders. I will allow you to also distribute them then, but thank you for having me.
Again, we sincerely applaud all those that have worked on this remarkable rescue and recovery effort. The Bergen County Historical Society itself was founded in 1902 to preserve and promote Bergen County's rich history and has been an advocate for the land and house we are sitting in since almost that time. Today, we face an amazing opportunity for our organization. Our membership has grown to be one of, if not the largest historical societies in the entire state of New Jersey. Our programming, run by all volunteers, continues to be the best in the state. We've seen the reopening of our library for all to enjoy, and I've seen the complete restoration of the Thomas Westervelt barn. The future and safety and enjoyment of our heritage, however, depends greatly upon our building a proper museum building for their optimal storage and display. This is our greatest priority and is long overdue. Whereas previous generations have dreamed of such an undertaking, now is the time to achieve it, and we ask you all for your support in our continuing fundraising efforts. We will be the generation that makes a museum that properly displays Bergen County's heritage in a way that it deserves. We have reached the critical moment, due to the generosity of so many donors, of beginning to interview architects who can guide us through the building process and turn these dreams into a reality. So stay tuned and join with us in making historic Newbridge Landing the heritage destination it deserves to be. In other words, let's make history together. We'd finally like to recognize our important guests, especially those from our host communities of River Edge, Teaneck, and New Milford, without whose steady support we cannot preserve and interpret Bergen County's, and indeed one of America's, most significant historic places. Without these historic places, we lose the special identity that makes our county so special. I'd like to recognize River Edge Councilwoman Ellen Bustede, River Edge Councilman Tom Papaleo, New Milford Mayor Ann Zarizi, unfortunately was not able to attend today, but we still recognize her. River Edge Mayor Ed Mignon, and former Bergen County freeholder and River Edge representative to the Historic Newbridge Landing Park Commission, Mary Donahue, who made the organization of this day possible. Today is a day of celebration as the Bergen County Historical Society moves forward in its storied history as we honor our country's greatest citizen, His Excellency, George Washington. We invite all our guests to visit our exhibits, to see the room upstairs where George Washington headquartered in 1780, and to view the other historic houses here at Historic Newbridge Landing. If you give us a few minutes to clear the room and reset the furniture, join us for a country ball that will commence at 1:30 p.m. Again, thank you very much for coming today, and have a wonderful time at this event.